Okay, so we're live. I'm here with Daniel.
That's great.
So let's give it a few minutes, waiting for the people to connect here. Oh yeah, and we have some people coming in already. 2 minutes to go. Hi everyone, welcome to this event. We will start at the top of the hour in about 1 minute. I'm happy to see people connecting.
Being early as well, Matthias. That's great.
Oh, yes, that's good. So I don't think you can unmute, unfortunately, or turn on your video, but please feel free to write something in the chat. Maybe if you would like to introduce yourself, you can do so, or at least type what country you're connecting from. So me and Daniel, we're connecting from Sweden. I am actually in Gothenburg today, and Daniel is in Stockholm.
Yes.
And yes, a confirmation that you can see me and Daniel, of course, and the presentation would be nice. Yeah, hi, Heikki. Welcome. Heikki, I mean, from Finland.
Yes, I should say moi then. Just learn that one.
Moi moi.
I think that's hey do, right? Leaving, Matthias, and moi. Yeah, moi is like hi, and moi is like goodbye.
Okay.
Not mistaking.
I just know nonni. It's like aha or okay. You can use that for any Finnish word. Works
that's
great.
Perfect.
Nonni. We only have Heikki chatting with us. So we are at the top of the hour, and we have a little crowd collecting, and we will get started here in a minute. And for the session, just put your questions into the chat. Daniel will monitor the chat, and he will ask them to me, and we can discuss them. And Daniel will also paste some links during the presentation and keep an eye on the chat, so to speak. So with that said, we are 1 minute past and I will start. So this is the session on Teams Phone Mobile. And to start with, I would like to introduce myself. If I can advance a slide. So I'm a cloud solution architect out of Stockholm in Sweden. I've been 8 years with Microsoft and I have a long history in telecom. So I've been working with telecom vendors and also operators such as Telia in Sweden, Telenor in Norway, and British Telecom. I do have a degree from California State University, where I lived a long time ago. And I am certified in Windows 95, so that kind of dates me how old I am. The picture you see, it's not an AI picture, it's me diving, and I dive weekly in the cold waters around Stockholm. So that's my hobby. My agenda looks like this, very simple. So we will talk about what Teams Phone Mobile is. We will look at a couple of customer cases, what our customers have done with it and why they like Teams Phone Mobile. And we're going to talk about Teams Phone Mobile and Copilot. And what you see here is actually the first blog post where we announced Teams Phone Mobile. At the time we called it Operator Connect Mobile. And Daniel is going to put a link to this announcement in the chat. So it was a little while back and a lot of things have happened. So we changed the service and we have a lot more operators connecting to the service. I see we have a question already. Thank you for that. The presentation materials, yes, you will receive them. Drago will put them on a web page, I think, and this is also being recorded, I should say. So it's recorded and will end up on YouTube after we're done. So with that said, let's get into the presentation. So Teams Phone Mobile, what is it really? To explain it as simple as I can, I would say that it is your mobile phone number in Teams. So you have the same number in your mobile phone and in your Teams client. And with the functionalities of Teams Phone Mobile, you can move a call from your mobile phone to Teams and back again. So you have a complete flexibility there, and you can of course transfer calls to colleagues on Teams or on regular phone numbers. One very nice thing with Teams Phone Mobile is that you have a combined call history. So you will have the exact same call history on your mobile phone as in Teams. I'm sure many of you have tried mobile extension solutions in the past, and many times they utilize one number on the desktop, another number on the mobile phone, and we try to connect them and get them to work together. That is working to some extent. You can use that, but the call history will always be suffering. So you will have one call history on one number and another call history on the other number. With Teams Phone Mobile, we solved that. So we have a combined call history. It's the same. And of course, we have a presence integration so that when you are busy on your mobile phone, it will reflect as busy in Teams, and the other way around. You can have a busy signal when you're talking on your Teams desktop client. And these are only half of the features listed here, and I will actually move on from this slide. So I have a couple of architecture slides, and don't be scared, these are probably the most technical slides I have. So what this one is showing is Teams Phone Operator Connect. So if we take a look at the left to the operator network, we see that the operator, they run their own network, it's connected to...
Matthias, sorry to interrupt, but we have someone, Patrick, saying that he can't see the presentation.
Okay.
So I guess that we should look into that. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see the presentation.
Okay, Magnus sees it. Yeah, then we can just Patrick, try to disconnect and connect again, and hopefully you will see the presentation.
Okay, perfect. He says it's okay now, so let's go on. Sorry for the interruption,
great.
Matthias.
Yeah, yep. No problem. So Operator Connect, the operator is connected, of course, to the public switch telephone network. They control the numbers there, and they also have a session border controller. So with this setup, the operator can push numbers in to a tenant in Microsoft 365. So a tenant admin will receive numbers through Operator Connect from the operator and can then assign them. And in this example, you have my name at the Teams client on the top. So I have a zip address, and I also have a phone number there. And now phone numbers, mobile numbers, and fixed numbers look different in different countries. But as a Swede will immediately see that that is a fixed number. So we have 08 for Stockholm in this case. And my mobile phone, I have a 07 something number. So that's my mobile number. So with Operator Connect, we can use fixed numbers and set on the Teams client. In this scenario, you can dial out with the Teams client and you will show your fixed line number. But if you make a call from your mobile phone with the dialer, the native dialer in the phone, it will of course show the mobile number. So you will have two numbers, you will have two call histories in this scenario. And we can make this better. And the way we make it better is with Teams Phone Mobile. So now we're going to compare this drawing with this drawing. Doesn't look too much different, right? But if you are if you're really looking, you can see that the number here changed. So now I have one mobile number, the 072 number, +4672. So this number is now both on my mobile phone and on my Teams client. And the biggest difference here is the SBCs configured by the operator. So now we're using an SBC connected to the mobile network instead. All of that you see below in the operator network in the Microsoft 365, that is of course configured by the operator in Microsoft. It is nothing that the tenant admin can change or influence in any way. So that is all pre-configured, and this is sold as a service. So in the same way as with Operator Connect, the operator will push numbers into the tenant, and the tenant admin can assign that to a user. But now it is a mobile number we're assigning. Also worth to note is to take a look at the smartphone there. The smartphone is actually a bit more advanced and maybe complex, a bit more complex than a computer, because it often have two types of connections. So we have the mobile voice, of course, to make calls, but we also have mobile data through 4G or 5G networks, and we also have Wi-Fi data. So we see there is actually three ways of getting calls into the mobile phone. And with Teams Phone Mobile, then the user is actually in control of how the operator is sending the call to them. So keep that thought, and I will try to explain it in the coming 2 slides here. So taking a look at my computer right now, I'm using a Surface laptop. And in my Teams desktop, if I go to calls, I will see my own number, so my work number, and that is the 072, my mobile number in there. If I next then go to my mobile phone, I have an iPhone, and there I also have Teams Mobile, the client. And if I look at the client, I will see the same number in there. But now this is might seem a bit confusing, because I also have the native dialer. So if I'm calling this number, it would ring them both the native dialer and Teams Mobile, or what's going on here? No, so actually with Teams Phone Mobile, it's an either or. So either we will call the native dialer in the phone like a regular mobile phone call, or we would call the Teams client like a Teams call. And the user and administrators are fully in control of this. It's not dependent on the operator in this case. And all of this, what sits at the heart of this is the mobility policy. So with the mobility policy, an administrator can decide how this is going to be handled for all the users. So you see we have 3 selections there. We can decide that all calls that are incoming to a user should go to Microsoft Teams. Then it will go to the Teams client in the smartphone. Or we can say it should go to the native dialer. Then it will be like a regular mobile call that you're used to without Teams Phone Mobile. Or the third option is very interesting, and that is to set it to user controlled. So with user controlled, then we can let the user decide. So the user can go in the Teams Mobile application on the smartphone and select whether he wants the calls to be distributed to the mobile phone, native dialer, or to the Teams app. So how does this look really when we get a call? So if we want to move a call, we again have one number to reach, both the mobile phone and the Teams client on the desktop. And here we have actually Matthias calling someone that have Teams Phone Mobile. So it will ring both on the desktop and in the native dialer. If the user picks this on the native dialer, it's a normal mobile phone call. But say he's in a noisy environment, he's out and about in the car or on public transportation or something like that. What this user then can do is just open the Teams mobile on the mobile phone. The first thing that will pop up then is that the client will say, "Oh, I see you're in a call. Do you want to move this call to Teams?" And this pop-up can be dismissed. So you just want to go in and chat or check something in your client, you can do that. But if you dismiss this one, then you will have a banner, and the banner will be there all the time saying, "I see you're in a call. Do you want to move this to Teams?" And if you select move, then you upgrade this call or move it from the mobile call to a high quality Teams call. And why do I say high quality? It is because of the noise suppression and the audio quality we have in Teams. And this is really noticeable. So if you have your own regular mobile phone and Teams, you will hear a significant quality increase if you go to Teams. And that is because of the noise suppression that we have in the Teams client. And also on the desktop, we now have even voice isolation, which is even making this better than noise suppression. And the other way around, if you are in a Teams call, then in the Teams calls options, you will have call my phone. And that's the way to move it from Teams to a mobile call. We also have this as an automatic option. So when the Teams client is noticing now we're losing Wi-Fi connection, we have a bad network, then the client will ask, do you want to move this to a mobile call instead? And this works the same way both on iOS and Android in the client. And in the backdrop, it's using the audio conferencing service that we have in the Teams platform. So we are going to talk a bit about some news as well. I have some news scattered throughout this presentation, and we're going to look at this mobility policy a bit more because it's really in the core of Teams Phone Mobile and how you control Teams Phone Mobile. So with the first selection, you send all the incoming calls to Microsoft Teams. The second one, you send it to the native dialer, or you can decide to have it user controlled, and then the user will decide. Now, currently, the default setup is that the global mobility policy for everyone, it's going to Teams. And if you select the user controlled, then it will also shift to go to the Teams app. Now, after feedback from our customers, we noticed that maybe this isn't the best way of starting with Teams Phone Mobile. So the default choices here will change, and that will change sometime this spring. And when we do a change, as always, we will notify all our users through the message center. So the new default will be that all the calls will go to the native dialer, and even if you select user control, it will keep going to the native dialer. And the reason for this is that it's less intrusive to a user that is already using probably their mobile phone. Then when they get Teams Phone Mobile, they themselves can decide, either the admin or the individual user can decide that, okay, now I'm ready, now I want to try this to send my calls to the Teams app rather than keeping them as a mobile phone call. Also, when we shift to Teams Phone Mobile, we do get a lot more control over the call, and we can do a lot of things. So we're going to look at the little flow chart here to the right if we have an incoming call. So Teams Phone Mobile will evaluate this call through a set of parameters. So the first thing it will look at is, do we have call forwarding set in the client? If so, it will adhere to those call forward settings, of course. But if we don't, next thing we check is, are we in a do not disturb mode? So if I manually set my Teams client to do not disturb, or if I'm like now presenting, then I can have it go to the do not disturb mode automatically. In this case, no calls will reach me, and no calls even on the mobile phone or on the Teams desktop will come through. Next thing we will check is if we're busy. If we're busy in a call, again, we have settings in Teams, whether we should just allow a second call to come through, or if we should send back a busy tone. And if we're not busy, then the call is connected. If the Teams desktop is up and running, we will ring the Teams desktop, of course. And if the mobile phone is switched on and ready, it will ring either in the native dialer or the Teams Mobile, depending on what mobility policy you have set. And after, if you don't answer at all, after a couple of seconds, it will go to voicemail, and this voicemail can be checked by Teams from the mobile or from the desktop, of course. So about the do not disturb status, it's a bit, what should I say, special or noteworthy that with the do not disturb, we are effectively turning off all our calls that can come in to us. Now, we do have some controls over this, so maybe we don't like this idea that I go to do not disturb when I'm presenting. Say I will have a full day workshop. Maybe I don't want to be in do not disturb. I want to be able to just bring up my phone, take a look at it. Is someone calling? And then I can answer. And I also have what we call a priority access list. So in this access list, I can add important persons to me. So if my wife or my kids are calling me, I can always have those calls come through. And I can add contacts and or phone numbers to this list. And we also have sort of a special corner case here. Now we're back at the architecture picture. But if we think about a normal customer with Teams, then we will have a lot of internal Teams users, of course, and some of them will also have Teams phone, so they will have a phone number. But then we can also have Teams users that doesn't have a phone number at all. They're just using the internal SIP calling. So what will happen if such a user without a telephone number is calling us in Teams Phone Mobile? It will actually look like this. You will see a call from an unknown caller. We have worked with all our operator partners, and we have managed to at least then send the SIP address. So in this case, we see that there is an understandable SIP address of this user. So we see that this is Sven Svensson calling. But the SIP address doesn't always have to be understandable. For example, my friend Daniel, he has DPALF, I think, at Microsoft.com. So no one would know it's him calling if he had this setup. Sorry to pick on you, Daniel. So the solution to this that we just announced, and we're going to announce this through Message Center through this spring, is if you then have a user without a phone number, there the phone number went away, then the solution is to use an outgoing caller ID policy. So it can seem a little unlogical. We're setting a caller ID policy to users that doesn't have a number. But when you think about it, it might seem logical. So all the users that are only SIP users, they can still have one number being showed, and then you can select to have, for example, your main switchboard number, any number really that you can set with those caller ID policies. And an even better solution, of course, would also be to set shared calling for all the users. Because if you started for some users with Teams Phone, if you use shared calling, then at least all users will have an option to call out, even if they cannot receive calls with shared calling. So with that said, I'm going to go into some customer stories, but I want to pause a bit. Do we have any questions, Daniel?
Yes, we had one question, but I think you have answered it. But let's review it anyway. So the question was, when user controlled, what is the default value if the user never chooses? So then I answer that it's the Teams app. So I hope that I'm correct there,
yes.
Matthias. Yep.
So that's the change we're making. Right now it is the Teams app, but after the change it will be the native dialer. So that's a change that is coming.
Yep.
And I see who asked this question, and I would also like to add that for the users that already have this up and running and are using Teams Phone Mobile, there is no change. So whatever you have, it will stay the same, of course.
Yep.
Yep. So when it comes to customers and customer stories, then all our customers like some things with Teams Phone Mobile, of course, that's why they're using it. So all our customers have given us feedback saying that it is stable. We do have a 5.9 uptime guarantee, of course. They do like the single number reach. They like that they have 2 answering locations. If you think about it, then it is more reliable, of course, because both your laptop computer that you probably use and your mobile phone, you can run out of batteries on those things, and then you cannot receive any calls. So it actually saved me a couple of times when I'm out of battery on my mobile phone. I could still make and receive calls on the computer. So a great thing, of course. We also have the ease of implementation and use. I won't go in too much about it in this presentation, but we discussed the Teams admin portal and the fact that you're just receiving phone numbers from the operator into the admin portal. You assign them to users. It is not harder than that to set it up. And our first example of a customer, it's a banking customer we have, and they have stockbrokers with customer contacts. So those stockbrokers there, of course, are getting calls about what they should buy and sell for the customers. And this is a highly regulated environment. So the banks need to record everything. So they had an issue with this when those stockbrokers, they of course have a fixed number, but they also have a mobile number. And this business speed is of the essence, as we all know. So they needed to record everything. And the way they solved this was to get Teams Phone Mobile for all those stockbrokers. And they put the mobility policy to Microsoft Teams. So all the incoming calls were Teams calls. That means that we can also use the compliance recording policy to say that all incoming calls should be recorded. So then we will record all incoming calls to this mobile phone. The second request we got there immediately, of course, was also to monitor the SMS conversations. And we can do that through our partners, Theta Lake. They have a service where you can catch SMSs and archive them. So you also have a record in case you're in a regulated industry. And there are also other third-party operator solutions that we can add on to this, and then we can record SMSs. And when it comes to SMSs in Teams, we have just announced, and I do think we have released it too, correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, but we have released in the US and Canada that with calling plans, we can send and receive SMSs through Teams. So we are looking at expanding this area and doing more in this area. But this is not a promise, and please refer to our roadmap for coming features.
It's soon to be released, I think, Matthias. So
soon to be released. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep an eye on the roadmap, as you said, and then you'll find it there.
Cool. We have a manufacturing customer, or we have many, of course, but this one I'm thinking about, they have the large factories. And in those factories, they have crews that are doing cleanups and maintenance and things like that. So they're constantly out and about in this big factory. And since the factory, you have a lot of machinery and metal and things, it's hard to get Wi-Fi coverage everywhere. So what they really liked is that they could use Teams Phone Mobile. So they have mobile coverage, which is apparently better than their Wi-Fi coverage. And they could also make this Teams Phone Mobile user part of a calling queue. So being part of a calling queue, you call a main number, and then it will be get distributed between the people in the calling queue. So a great use case for situations like this. A construction company we have, they really enjoy the presence integration we have. So they said that the service desk before, they were often busy on the mobile phone, but then they were also green in Teams, available in Teams. So they get calls in Teams when they were on the mobile and the other way around. Many used headsets that I have, so they were connected to both the phone and the desktop, and it can be quite irritating sitting in a call and getting another call and so forth. So just that we have presence integration, when you're in a call on the mobile, you're also on a call in Teams. That is really helpful, of course. One additional thing they noticed and they really liked about this, and it's not actually part of Teams Phone Mobile per se, but it's a good thing to think about, is that nowadays, since those devices are so complicated, then their users often needed help to set settings in their iPhone, for example. So what they then did is just to initiate a Teams meeting with this user. They can share screen, and then they can help the user with settings in the mobile phone as well. So great use case. The final example we have is healthcare, and here we have another sort of specialized need, and that is to mask your outgoing number. So with an outgoing calling policy, you can say that I do want to show my number when I dial out, or I want it to be a main number because maybe I am a healthcare worker. I don't have time to answer the phone at every time of the day, so I don't want any calls. So the calls will have to come back through a more organized way through a main number or a call queue. So these are 4 different examples of customers we have that are using this. And the examples are actually from both the Nordic region and from the US.
Hey, Matthias, before you go on, I think you might connect on this slide, but we have a question from Rolf here. So just to put it in here, it's maybe you're in the middle of answering it, but I want you to hear it anyway. So what are the most important use cases that customers use Teams Mobile for? So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
When going on. Yep.
I would say the most important use case is one number, that they have one number, because that's something everyone can use, no matter of industry, no matter of special use of Teams on mobile. So it's just the ease of that you don't have two numbers, two different call histories, and you don't have to hand out two different numbers to different people.
I'm with you there, Matthias. I think you're right. That's the most common thing that we hear from our customers. So please go on. I hope we answered your question, Rolf, there. So
yeah, thanks. Oh, I see. Time flies when you're having fun. We have 50 minutes for this, so I will talk for another 10-15 minutes here. So this is an interesting case. You can save money immediately on roaming charges with Teams Phone Mobile. So I have a bit of a scenario here that I will show. So normally I'm in Sweden. I have my Teams Phone Mobile. I have my number. But this week I'm going to the UK. And as you know, the UK is no longer in the European Union. So it's quite expensive for me to go there and receive calls. So actually, if I'm receiving a call in the UK, it will cost me 5 Swedish per minute, or 0.44 euros per minute. So quite steep, and that is because of the roaming charges. Within the European Union, we have a flat roaming charge, but if you're going outside, this can become quite costly. So back home, I have my old mom. She is not very tech savvy, but she of course have my number in her phone book and she can call me. So when she does, as always, maybe she will call me for, say, an hour per day, and I'm there for a work week of 5 days. Then the cost of those calls, 5 hours of calls, would be 132 euros, quite steep. But at the same time, I will be at my office where we have Wi-Fi. I will be at the hotel where we have Wi-Fi. Maybe I'm at the bar or the library where they have Wi-Fi. So I have Wi-Fi everywhere. So how can I use that? Simply by setting my incoming call setting to Teams apps. So when I do that, I am telling the operator and the operator network, stop sending me calls over cellular and the roaming charges, but send them through Wi-Fi instead. So I'm effectively removing this connection. So all my calls now will go through Wi-Fi and still come to my phone. And for the people calling me, my mother, my business contacts at home, they will just dial as normal. They won't even notice that I'm abroad doing this. So the costs for my week here will be 0. And then, of course, since it's 0, I can call several hours per day. And let's see, I think this is talking, yes, for outgoing calls. For outgoing calls, it's even simpler. I would just use the Teams mobile client and make calls from there. So then I will show my normal number out. And I can do that being connected to Wi-Fi. But there is also another option when I'm out traveling. And I myself tried this from Egypt a couple of weeks ago. So when I arrived in Egypt, I bought a local eSIM card. I installed the eSIM card at the airport. It took me like 2 minutes. And then I had 5G data, and I could make calls from my Teams mobile client, and everyone at home saw my number. So this is a great way of saving money, but still keeping a number, and you don't have to do any large reconfigurations of your phones. If you're still not convinced that Teams Phone Mobile is for you and you want to test it, we have a great way of doing that. Modern phones like the iPhone allows for eSIMs. So up top there you can see in the eSIM, this is from my phone. I have 2 operators, so I can see that one operator I have 2 bars on the connection and the other one 3 bars. But with eSIMs, you can have multiple numbers in the phone, and there's of course no problem of enabling Teams Phone Mobile on one of them, either the primary or the secondary. So we don't recommend this, of course, for production and large environments, but if you want to get going testing Teams Phone Mobile, this is a great way of just adding another number to your mobile phone, testing out how does Teams Phone Mobile really work. And we also have something in Teams called a private line. And with the private line, you can set yet another phone number on your user. And I know that many of our users, they really like the one number approach, but there are also circumstances where you want several numbers. Say, for example, I'm doing a lot of business abroad, then it would be nice for me to have a Swedish number, Swedish mobile number, and maybe an American number, and I can call out from that one. So private line, the one we have today that is released, is for incoming calls only, so it's a bit more limited. But what I can say is that we're investigating to, in the terms of Teams on Mobile, to look into this and maybe see what we can do to enable more lines for Teams Phone Mobile. But this is nothing we have announced yet, and this is, again, not a promise from me. Finally, we have Copilot, and I wouldn't be a Microsoft employee if I didn't mention Copilot when I have the chance in front of our customers, because it is really awesome. I mean, Copilot have really changed the way we're doing meetings and how we work internally within Microsoft, that's for sure. And I hope you all have tried Copilot and tried to have Copilot summarize a meeting for you. So then you can see the power of Copilot, that it understands what you've been talking about. You can get a summary, you can get action items, and you can discuss this meeting with Copilot. The same is, of course, working even on Teams Phone. So if we have Teams Phone, then we can start Copilot on any mobile call. So I will just go in and start a Copilot for this, and then later on when I come home, I will look in the call history in my Teams desktop, and then I will find this button, ask about this call. So even if this was a call happening some 2-3 weeks ago or even longer, then I can go back and say, I want to ask about this call. So this is a call to Tommy, and I want to know what Tommy and I talked about. So then I click the button and I will get this summary. So Tommy and I, we were chatting about some weekend plans and some sauna things, whether you should have a wood-burning sauna or you should have an electric sauna, and whether you should have a pool next to the sauna and so forth. And we ended this politely, it said, which was nice. Well, it was just a test call. So we had to have something to discuss. But with this, you can of course see that the Copilot can understand a conversation about saunas, and it can understand your business conversations, and we can also tell it to summarize the main ideas we discussed. And I saw that Daniel put something in the chat now, and this is an article we have on our tech community, and it just gives you some ideas and tips and tricks about prompts. So when you're in a call, you can actually use Copilot during a call. Just provide a summary now. What have we talked to up until now? And then, of course, the same thing after the call. Create or organize the decisions made in the call, and collect any open items from the call and put that in a table. So of course, you can see that with this, you can save a lot of time, and you can also improve your own memory of what we're really discussing and talking about in this call. And about saving time and money, we have tasked Forrester, a study organization, to do a study on Teams on Mobile. Is it possible to save money and time with Teams on Mobile? And the answer is clearly yes, it is. So the figures you see here, I won't go into details about the figures, but Daniel will now, or he has put a link to this whole study, so you can download it and read it yourself. So what they've done is that they interviewed our customers that are using Teams on Mobile. Then they extrapolated this to an organization of 10,000 employees. How much can you save if you're such a big organization? And of course, this will vary a bit, but it's totally clear, at least to me and to others, that you can save a lot of money with Teams on Mobile. And where can you get Teams Phone Mobile? The easiest way to see that is, of course, if you're a tenant admin, you can go to the admin center, you go to the Operator Connect section, and you just select Teams Phone Mobile Calling. Then it will list all the operators we have. And currently we have 7 around the world. So for Sweden, Norway, Denmark, we have Telia, we have Deutsche Telekom in Germany, and we have BT in the UK. We also have Swisscom, of course, in Switzerland. And yeah, we have then the other ones are in Canada and the US. So these are the 7 we have right now. And also in the link there, we have a link externally, so you don't have to be a tenant admin to find that. You can just go to this operator directory and list it. And this is also an area where we will announce news. So we have some coming in during this year. So the next one is the Netherlands, and I hear that is real soon. So we're not talking months away. It's coming real soon to the Netherlands. And we're also going to get more operators connected in the US and also in the UK. And this will, of course, expand to more and more markets as we go on. So, summary of Teams Phone Mobile. You have reliable calling with one number. You can use it with Copilot. You can use it with compliance recording. You can use it with as part of a call queue, and you get the presence integration. And it will save you money while traveling if you're traveling abroad and are using Wi-Fi for Teams Phone Mobile. So that was actually my last slide. I have one more slide that I want to show you. I'm running another community initiative. We call it the Friends of Teams newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter, and it's been coming out every week since year 2015. It was then started as the Friends of Skype newsletter. Currently, I'm sending this every week to around 1,600 people. And if you would like to be part of this, just put your address in the chat here or send it to me privately, and I will add you to this list, and you will receive this newsletter every week. And with that, I think we can open up for questions. So do we have any unanswered questions, Daniel?
Yes, we have. The first one is, if you've got the settings to Teams app for a call and don't have Wi-Fi, but you still have that cellular connection, what happens then? Do you receive the calls then on cellular, or would it be still be in the Teams app?
Yeah, it will try to send it on the Teams app. I don't think, no, it will not automatically fail over if it doesn't have the connection. So then it will ring on your desktop, and it will not ring on your mobile phone in that case.
Yep. And then a Copilot question, and I think it's a really important question, Matthias. So, is Copilot data kept according our tenant data privacy policy inside our tenant, and it's not public, right?
Yes. So it's only inside the tenant boundary, and we don't use this data to do training or experiments on future Copilot versions either.
No, really important for. And then, of course, we have some people that want to join our nice club with the newsletter. And other than that, I think you have been very clear, Matthias, because we don't have any more questions that I can see. So please send it into the chat if you have more questions.
Yeah, and as said, Daniel and me, we're working with Teams Phone Mobile. So any questions you might have, if you think of something later today or over the weekend, try not to think or work. But anyway, just get back to us, and we'll try to help you.
Yes, for sure.
So with that, we'll close the call, and thank you all for participating.
Yep, nice to see you all.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.